Hugo Gernsback was considered the father of science fiction. He started the first science fiction magazine back in 1926, Amazing Stories. Hugo Gernsback was primarily concerned with the scientific accuracy of the story, the neatness of the new invention. He was not particularly concerned about the quality of the writing. In fact, he didn't call it science fiction, he called it scientifiction. The next major...
Back issues of Amazing Stories are only a small part of the collection at Hugo's Bookstore in Minneapolis. Don Blyly is the founder and owner of the store, which has one of the largest collections of science fiction titles in the country.
I had been reading science fiction since 3rd grade, collecting science fiction for some time, and decided it'd be interesting to try to open a science fiction bookstore. So I ran through some numbers to see if it would work. It looked good, and 10 days later, on March 2nd, 1974, I opened for business, and it's been running ever since. We have some people who show up once or twice a week, every single week. We see a lot of people from out of town. We have customers who come in from all over the world. We have customers, especially from Australia and Europe, that anytime they're in North America, that's close enough to be an excuse to come to Minneapolis to buy at Uncle Hugo's.
Sudden galactic transformations affected certain Earthlings in the 20th century when they overloaded their memory banks with data from the handheld printouts. These transformations were frequent at the data emporium in the Minnesota Matrix called Uncle Hugo's.
Hugo Gernsback is also remembered for the literary award that bears his name, a glittering silver spaceship called the Hugo Award. Each year, at the annual science fiction convention, Hugo Awards are presented to the authors of outstanding new work.
This Hugo right here is for Soldier Astronaut, and it won the award for the novella classification at the World Science Fiction Convention, which was held in London in that particular year.
Soldier Ask Not is the fourth in a cycle of novels by Gordon Dickson, one of a circle of internationally acclaimed science fiction authors who live in Minnesota. Dickson started his career writing for magazines like Hugo Gernsback's Amazing Stories.
Gernsback went a step farther than that. He went into fantasy, although not very far. He went further into the possibilities of science. Now, then as now, if you read the technical journals, you were aware of things that were going to probably become reality in about 10 or 15 years that the general public hadn't heard of. And if you wrote about these things, essentially scientific wonders, and made them part of your fiction, you had the makings of the prototype of science fiction stories. Hugo essentially coined a new word for the new kind of story he was after. He called it scientifiction, STF. And this was abbreviated, I don't know by him or simply by fans of the period, to Sci-Fi. Sci-Fi has now fallen upon hard times. As I say, the in-group refers to it as SF and uses the term sci-fi to refer to anything that is old-fashioned, poorly done, B-Western type of science fiction.
Uncle Hugo's Bookstore is frequently a place to meet Hugo Award winners from other parts of the country. David Brin, a San Francisco author, visits Uncle Hugo's once or twice a year to autograph his books and meet his fans.
I can imagine. I know this. Acid-free paper. Yes. I told this joke before, some of you heard it before, but you know, when you hold up a book like this to your ears, you can hear the sound of wood pulp turning into acid. When you hold a book in acid-free paper with sewn signatures up to your ear, what you hear is your great-grandchildren screaming at your great-great-grandchildren for getting peanut butter stains on it in the 23rd century. This could outlive any of us if it's kept in the right environment.
Brin's Star Tide Rising earned him both the Hugo and the Nebula Awards, but he is somewhat skeptical of their actual value.
Anybody who thinks that they're going to be a writer or an entertainer and other people are going to pay them to be themselves, has more than enough ego already. Beyond that ego is death. It's death to your ability to write and continue your craft. All it does is make you into a prima donna. And the awards start scaring me a little. You know, they start making me think, boy, are you going to start believing them? What's it going to do to you? Nah, I'll be okay. Because I have friends who know that Brin, no matter how big he gets, can be drop-kicked.
These are the voyages of Starship Hugo, boldly spreading the legacy of Hugo Gernsback where no man has gone before. Science fiction, the final frontier.